What is happening, Yo-Yo Nation? Now, that intro would have did numbers in 2010, but today we have a very exciting video. I just want to reach into the camera and pull you in the room with me so I can explain this. Today, I'm going to be doing a Rafa from Borderlands 4 Peacebreaker Cannons Theory build. Now, I am going to say it, and this might give me some flack. I am a pretty big Borderlands fan. I just, I played the games before I started making YouTube videos or streaming. So Borderlands 2 and 3 have a special place in my heart. I did play Borderlands 1 when I rented it from Blockbuster, but I was, a child, right? So I didn't really understand it. Obviously, as you get older, you understand genres. I understand the loot system. You get a real good deep dive. And I really hope that Borderlands 4 is that game that just makes me just super, super happy. Just to do it. So, of course, when we do this video, if you don't know what the skills are, I'm going to show you where you can find out where the skills are, as well as the skills that I am choosing. I'm going to explain why. I'm not going to be like 5 points in, 5 points in this, 5 points in this, 3 points in this. This is why I'm going to be breaking down why I'm choosing certain skill points. And there is going to be some math later on. So if you find that boring, I'm very sorry. But I feel like if you're watching this video, it's because you're also a Borderlands fan and you yourself understand that these types of games, ARPGs, Borderlands, looter shooters, right? Destiny, First Ascendant, Warframe, there's a lot of math behind builds, and I believe that's what makes these types of games so fun. But first, let me try to find some good little background music, set the tone. Me and you going down Borderlands 4 skill trees. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. I probably should have found a song to begin with, but you can't go wrong with just lo-fi, right? Are people still rocking lo-fi music in the big 2025? Is lo-fi girl still alive, or is she a millionaire? I do not know. I do not know, but if she is, that would be pretty sick. All right, ooh, listen to that. Hopefully it doesn't get copyright ID. Is there a way of testing that? So I am on maxroll.gg. Now, Maxroll is a website where if you look on the left, they have a lot of games: Path of Exile, PoE 2, Diablo 4, World of Warcraft, Last Epoch, which I do recommend playing Last Epoch. It's very good. Throne and Liberty. They even got Expedition 33. Oh, Game of the Year for those who come after. If you know, you know. What else they got? They got Diablo 3. Of course, they got Diablo 2. Lost Ark, Destiny, Monster Hunter Wilds, right? So you're out there loving the, the updates of the new monsters. Elden Ring, Night Rain, and Borderlands 4. So we are on the Borderlands 4. Now, the way to get to the skill tree, in fact, let me show you, right? You're going to click on Planner, and then you're going to click right here on the character. Right now, there's only Vex and Rafa. The other character, Amon, did get his skill tree showed, so maybe that hopefully is coming soon, but we're going to be clicking on Rafa. And I'm going to break down a little bit how passives work and how, what do these symbols on the screen mean? So if you're new, you'll definitely be caught up to speed. So every character has a passive, right? And this is currently unchangeable. Possibly later when it comes to more updates, maybe they might add different passives. But right now, this is the passive that Rafa has. When Rafa activates an action skill, he enters overdrive. When the action skill is active, overdrive's duration does not decrease. While overdrive is active, you gain increased movement speed and deal increased damage with all sources. All should be... I feel like all should definitely be in a different text. Plus 10% damage, plus 25% movement speed, and it lasts for 12 seconds. Very nice. So the first thing we're going to be going over is the Peacebreaker. So there's 3 skills here. You're like, well, what do the skills do? You're going to click this plus sign, select active skill. We're going with Peacebreaker Cannons. Peacebreaker Cannons, action skill. Rafa equips Peacebreaker Cannons, which automatically fire at enemies in Rafa's crosshairs, dealing kinetic gun damage. If that enemy dies, or you press mouse 3. Now, of course, mouse 3 is subjective. If I play on controller, so mouse, you're gonna see my cat's tail. There he goes. Mouse 3 can be any button, right? It doesn't really matter. The Peacebreaker Cannons find a new target. Holding F, which is most likely going to be like LB on controller, or L1 if you play. You know, listen, man, I'm rocking the best current controller at the moment, man. I'm rocking the best current controller at the moment. The Xbox controller is superior to the PlayStation controller. Now, maybe you can make a thing for DualShock 4, but the 360 controller is still the best controller money can buy. Where are you going, man? Where's my cat going? The world may never know. You gonna go to your other pouch? I have multiple pouches set up. I have multiple cats. All right. So Peacebreaker cannons, holding F ends Peacebreaker cannons and refunds a portion of the remaining action skill duration as action skill cooldown. Current damage 2, duration 18 seconds, cooldown 32 seconds. I don't really pay attention to the 2 on turret damage. You know, this is stuff that is going to get augmented through the skill tree, and unfortunately the only thing about it is, we'll take a look here, is as you see the numbers of increments don't go up. However, Borderlands tends to follow a very easy structure where if the first skill is 5%, 2 points is 10, 3 points is 15, and so on and so forth. Certain skills don't do that, but majority of the time, it's very, very simple. So, yeah, so we are doing Peacebreaker cannons. You get these 2 cannons that come on your shoulders, as you can see in the little photo there, and they, you know, and they be blasting people. So now we're going to get into the build. So, as of right now, you start at level 1. I believe it's not confirmed, but the max level is going to be 50, which is pretty normal, and Borderlands does tend to increase the max level. I know in Borderlands 2 you had to pay money. Ooh, what the hell? You had to pay money to increase your level, but in Borderlands 3 there was periodic updates, plus 3 levels, plus 4 levels, plus 5 levels, plus 3 levels, and I believe they went from 50 to 72. They realized that 72 skill points was enough for you to achieve a you know, like a good build without just being able to get every skill or, you know, multiple capstones, which is nice. If you're wondering why I'm playing with my nose so much, no, I don't do cocaine. My cat, as you saw, was running back and forth. This homie's shedding like crazy. I got cat nose up every orifice on my body, or cat hair. Okay, so first skills, right, is pretty basic. Rafa gains increased gun damage. Now, this is a percentage-based increase, which is why I'm going to be putting 5 points in it, which theoretically should be giving me 25% more gun damage. Now, the other skills in this tree are Rafa and his Peacebreaker cannons gain increased fire rate, and overdrive skill, Rafa gains increased shield recharge rate and improved shield regen delay while overdrive is active. Plus 11%, plus 12%. Now, an overdrive skill basically means whenever overdrive is active. So this is more, it's like a passive that activates while your other passive is active, right? There's levels to this, right? There's levels to this. Meek Mill, where the tape at? Pool stick all up in this. Nah, you know the words. If you know the words, hey man, calm down. Ugh, protein shakes, man, they are disgusting, but trying to get swole. So tier 2, right? Tier 2, we have more skills. This is the one I'm thinking right now. This is the one I'm thinking. When Rafa critically hits an enemy, action skill duration is restored. Action skill duration restored 3%, which if it goes up by 3 every time, we're looking at 15% action skill restore. But there is a cooldown of 4 seconds. Now there's 2 ways. I don't know why I held up 4. Go see a new Fantastic Four movie in theaters. This video is sponsored by Not Marvel. There's 2 ways this could work. Either action skill restored goes up 3%, or that skill cooldown goes down to 1% cooldown, and then you can just refresh 3%. Either way, I believe this is a very good skill. I personally always try to go towards having my action skill up as long as possible. Like, that's the type of archetype that I really, really enjoy in Borderlands, especially in Borderlands 3 with Zane. It's just constantly having, you know, your Sentinel drone and like your dome up. Obviously, with Mantis Cannon coming out, you know, you don't really need dome anymore. That skill tree is crazy. So I'm going to be putting 5 points into this. You're probably wondering, ArroyoYo, whoa, Roya, you said you were going to explain what these hexagons. Are they hexagons? Are they octagons? No, they're 1, 2, 3, 4 hexagon. Hexagon is 6. Hexagon is 6. Hexagon is 6. Yes. Pentagon is 6? No, pentagon is 5. Listen, I haven't been in geometry class in quite some time. So how these work is these do not require skill points. And once you make it to this tier, you're able to choose either one. So let's take away these points. So down here, right, I can choose either one. It does not use the skill point once I get to this tier. So I think that's a very nice. And what these do, these are called augments. And they change the way that your action skill works. They give it new functions, or they give it different properties. So the first one, listen, man, listen. Instanito, listen, I'm Puerto Rican, I don't speak Spanish. I know. Some of you are gonna be like, how are you Puerto Rican, you don't speak Spanish? I wasn't taught it, man. Not be taught a language. I went to public school, everybody spoke English. Rafa's Peacemaker cannons gain critical hit chance. Press F while Peacemaker cannons are active, causing them to double their critical hit chance and gain critical hit damage, while also causing his action skill duration to drain faster. Kill skill. Killing an enemy with Rafa to regain his action skill duration, while also causing his action skill duration to drain faster. Critical hit chance, 25%. Duration return, 10% on kill. Critical hit damage, plus 15%. Duration, 8 seconds. Duration rate, 3% after each kill. Max stacks, 10. So this skill seems like something I did want to run with while I was theorying up a build, because obviously, if you look at this one, critical hits restore now 15%. 4-second cooldown is the big part. I feel like if that 4-second cooldown isn't there, you definitely rock this one. However, because of the way stacks work, and stacks work like anything else in the world that has stacks, is after 10 kills, your duration is going to be going down at 30% faster. However, only giving you 10% on kill. So there is and this only lasts for 8 seconds. So this might be good. However, I feel like your action skill is definitely going to drain faster than you're going to be able to keep it up. And like I said, I really want to keep up my action skill as long as possible. And even though this does gain a critical hit chance, and maybe I don't land a critical hit and this can land a critical hit, it really could keep it up the entire time. But until we're actually in the game, and which is why I love theory crafting, until we're actually in the game and I feel this skill out, I feel like this skill is you really just pop it, because your skill is only 18 seconds long. So getting 8 seconds of basically going down by 30% while only regaining 15% every 4 seconds, but then this gives you 10% on kill. So even on kill, you're only gaining 25% while losing 30% a second. Or no, I mean, not 30% a second, 30% after each kill. Like the risk versus reward isn't there, because yes, you can critically hit, but you're not gonna, the way Borderlands works is that I believe if you're spending more than 4 seconds on one enemy, your build's pretty bad. You're at most gonna land, you're gonna kill that enemy before you can most likely proc 2 critical hits, unless it's like an elite. So so I don't really believe as of right now this skill is going to be good. Maybe later in the tree we'll come back to talking about this. Whenever Rafa activates an action skill, restore a portion of his maximum shield capacity if his shields are already full, gain overdrive instead. Now Rafa in this skill does have really good defensive options, but I'm here to shoot, baby. I'm not here to just be tanky. There's a different character for that. I'm here to put up my cannons, and I want everything in my vicinity to then die and then drop good loot so I can kill more things faster. That is how I'm going to be playing Peacebreaker Rafa. The other skill, which this is the one I'm leaning towards when I do hit level 6, I believe, right? Level 6, because you need 5 points and you get your first point at level 2. While Peacebreaker cannons are active, Rafa and his allies regenerate ammo. Rafa's Peacemaker cannons deal bonus fire damage based on how full his gun is. and his turrets shoot exploding bullets while his magazine is full. Pressing F while Peacebreaker cannons are active causes Rafa's shots to consume no ammo, but causes his action skill duration to drain faster. Now, unfortunately, this one doesn't tell us how fast it's going to drain, but this is also very nice. If this doesn't drain as fast as this one, which is 30% at max stacks, and we're actually able to regenerate our kill skill faster, this one definitely seems very nice. I mean, the fact of having an infinite magazine, you reload, you pop F, you have infinite, what's playing with a box, right? And you have infinite ammo and you're blasting, and your turrets are doing, I had to reread it real quick. I was like, do you also do exploding gun? No, only your turrets, right? And your turrets are shooting exploding bullets. I believe that is pretty nice, as well as regenerating ammo is always a nice skill to have if you're playing with other people, right? Because this is a skill that you can use in co-op, which I definitely recommend playing Borderlands with a friend, right? There's so many builds right now. Both of you can play Rafa, and I'll tell you right now, there's like 8 different builds that this man can do. There's several different builds just alone in Peacekeeper, but I'm aiming for, most time, I want my turrets to be up and do a lot of damage. So this is the one that I am leaning towards. Kill skill: killing an enemy restores Rafa's shields based on Rafa's maximum health capacity. 4% maximum health. Fully leveled up, this will be 20% of maximum health. A kill skill, self-explanatory. When you kill something, it will proc, which is kind of what I was hoping would happen with this. Like, Zane had something similar in Borderlands 3. Zane is a character in Borderlands 3, if you do not know, where when he killed enemies, he had a kill skill that would restore duration, as well as he had like a class mod, which, you know, we don't know much about that, where like if you were like even hitting enemies, it would activate his kill skill, so you really could keep his stuff up. But maybe they're trying to stay away from kill skills up, or they're trying to stay away from action skills being up at all times. But personally, that's how I enjoy playing the game. So now we're getting into the third tier. Overdrive skill: Rafa gains increased damage reduction while overdrive is active. This goes up to 40% damage reduction while your overdrive is active. And remember, your overdrive is active even while your cannons are up. Rafa gains increased skill damage. Whenever Rafa shield breaks after being fully recharged, spawn a free grenade. If he has a grenade equipped, use that grenade instead. Now, grenades are different in Borderlands 4. This man's just going left and right. Grenades are different in Borderlands 4. They're called ordnance in this game. So you can have a grenade, an LMG, a throwing knife, or like an assault rifle. Like, they all take up like the same spot. So if you have like a nice grenade equipped and maybe you're not using your ordnance as much, right, this is a good way of, you just spawn a free grenade that maybe has like a very nice effect on it. And Rafa deals increased damage from all sources. The fuller Rafa shields are, the greater the bonus. Where Rafa shields are at maximum capacity, double this bonus. So once again, right, so there is several different ways you can go down this, you know, this shield build where you recharge shield delay, you gain you know, you recharge shield based on your maximum health, and then you can get over shield, and now you're doing a lot of damage. So but for what I'm going for, I'm going to be going for 3 points in skill damage, which is 27% increased skill damage, which obviously, once again, don't pay attention to that too. This, you know, I feel like in these types of games, getting percentage increases or multipliers is very important. So there's a part of me that wants to, because you need 5 more points to get to down here. There's a part of me that wants to have this one up, even if it's only 2 points, because that's an extra 20% damage even if I'm not at full HP, and it's extra 40% damage if I'm at maximum shield capacity. There's a part of me that wants to drop a grenade. There's a part of me that wants to have increased fire rate. So for this alone, I'm going to be putting 2 points in increased fire rate. 8% fire rate seems very important, but we might come back later and change that, and you'll see why. So the skill tree that I'm personally gonna, I don't have to scroll down, this it fits perfectly like on my screen. The skill tree that I'm going to be looking at is this middle one. So once again, when you make it to this tier, all 3 of these are unlocked. Even if you're not going down this skill tree or this skill tree, you can still have the augment on this side or the augment on this side. I'm not required to go down the augment on this side, which is the augment I'm not choosing. I'm most likely going to be choosing Hell in the Shell, or depending how good these two are, I might be sticking with them. But Hell in the Shell, the way it works is pressing F while Peacemaker cannons are active causes them to fire two, say it with me, two marshmallows that deal fire damage to a large area, killing enemies, reduces this skill's cooldown 50%, or not 50%, 50 seconds on cooldown, 5 seconds per kill, which means if there's a big mob or there's a cluster spawning, you throw your Hell in the Shell, maybe you get 5 kills, now shoots 2, so maybe you get, minus 25 seconds, and then your Peacemaker cannons are always up, so you're always throwing these out, right? The reason why I'm really gravitating towards this is because there's no caveat, right? You just fire 2 giant fireballs. There's not, your action skill doesn't drain faster like when these two have it, which is very nice. So I think I'm going to be going with this. The other augment is Rafa's Peacebreaker cannons also deal ordnance damage. We know ordnance damage once again is rocket launchers and so on and so forth, deal ordnance damage, and he deals increased ordnance damage while Peacemaker cannons are active. Pressing F while Peacemaker cannons are active causes them to disconnect from Rafa, becoming a turret companion that fires at enemies. Additionally, it can fire grenades. If Rafa has a grenade equipped, it copies the grenade. Pressing F returns the turret companion to Rafa's back. So this is, once again, if you have a very good grenade, you can quickly rock this for a little bit. I'd be like, I picked up a legendary grenade that makes my enemies commit tax fraud and then they get arrested. I'm like, maybe I want to go take a point out of this and put a point into this, and now I'm spawning a grenade, and now I got this guy throwing a grenade, everybody's in jail for tax evasion, and I'm loving life. The last one is augmented unmissable missiles. Press F while Peacemaker cannons are active. It causes them to fire a volley of homing rockets at the enemy at the cost of action skill duration. 6 rockets, 5% of max duration per missile, which means this is 30% of your action skill. Once again, I don't want this. Maybe later if I'm going for burst damage, Rafa. Excuse me, I'm burping. It always tastes like protein. Unmissable missiles, right? We don't want that, right? What's the goal? Say it with me. Longer action skill up all the time, because I don't want my action skill to go down. If you said that word for word, comment down below and I'll like your comment. So we're going to be going down once again this middle tree. Now the first 2 skills are not really the best, unfortunately. The first shot of Rafa's fully loaded magazines deal bonus corrosive damage. This can go up to 55% increased damage, or Rafa's ordnance deals damage in his current weapon's element. Now, this would be good if you chose this, because then you're shooting out ordnance, which is your grenade. However, I still think just having you don't lose a grenade if I'm not having like a passive, like poop it out, or my turret shoots grenades, right? At the end of the day, you still have a grenade. So I think this is very good to have, right? This is 5 points, so that's 40% increased bonus damage, and I can still manually throw a grenade. We always throw grenades, right? Call of Duty, the other Borderlands games, right? We're used to always throwing grenades, so this is not like an inconvenience. If I have a grenade, I'm gonna toss it, right? You press one button, boom, you throw a grenade, does a little bit of extra damage. Maybe you'll get a bonus from that grenade, and then you're still chilling. This still has it as well, but this one, right, is the first shot only. Maybe if you have, and this is for my Borderlands, brother, where are you going to lay, man? You have a bed over here. You have a bed over there. Where are you going to lay? Where are you going to lay? You're going to go this way? Go this way. Yeah, go lay on that for 15 seconds. This is only the first shot, so this is for my Borderlands heads, right? If you have like a Jacobs shotgun that has like one mag, right? One mag, or one shell and bank, and then you're doing it. Maybe that's the only way I can really see it like rocking. Maybe there's a sniper rifle that has 1 bullet in the mag called like the 1-shot kill. But majority of the time I feel like you're not really going to be feeling this. However, this is what else I was thinking, is that if I rock this, right, which gives me full ammo and I hold F, is my first shot gonna always, is basically gonna do 1,000,000 damage. Now that's something I'll have to test, because it says the first shot fired, so I don't know if that means like if you have a full magazine, if that's going to keep counting as the first shot fired. Sometimes Borderlands gets wonky and they do count that, but as of right now, until we know if this is working, I'm going to go with the left side. Rafa's weapons gain a chance to ricochet off of enemies with status effects. Ricochet damage is based off of damage dealt. Ricochet chance plus 3%, or 3% per status effect. Very nice. I'm thinking about this, but I'm not sold on it yet, and you'll see why when I get into some later skills. And this could be a skill that you pick up once they add more skill points, or maybe the max level is gonna be 55, and then I'm like, oh, okay, let me do this, because some other skills have my interest, like this one. While aiming with the gun, Rafa deals bonus shock damage. Each time Rafa hits an enemy this way, deal increased bonus damage until he zooms out. 2% of damage dealt, 1% per critical hit of additional bonus damage, 20 stacks. And if this is fully leveled up, the way that it might work, it might go up by 1 only, but if we're doing the math and it's going up by 2 on the bonus damage and up by, hello? Get out of here. And going up by 1%, this is going to be doing 10% of damage dealt, which is 20 stacks, so that's 200%, and as well as another 5 plus 20, which is another 100%, which might be 300% of damage dealt. So, you know, that's a lot of damage. Whoa, that's a lot of damage. I just cut this door in half. So I feel like this is definitely way better than this as of now. As of now, I think this is way better. We get down to the capstone, which is, and this is what I really want to rock, right? This is what I really want to rock. So unlike the augments, when you get to your capstone, which is the triangle, which technically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is technically another hexagon shaped differently because there are flats, so double the triangle hexagonal shape and not the circular hexagonal shape. You cannot choose the other ones. So you have to go down this specific tree in order to get a capstone. And even if you did go down, let's say this tree, you can only have one. So it doesn't, like, you know, so it doesn't really make too much sense per se. But I mean, we are going to dabble in this tree right here, and you'll see why. You'll see why. So we get down here, and this is the capstone. Rafa's Peacebreaker cannons are replaced with a shock beam and a corrosive beam. Each beam automatically locks onto enemies in your view and may lock onto different enemies. Whenever Rafa applies a status effect, gain increased action scale damage. Now this is saying 20% action scale damage. It doesn't say there's a cap, so I don't know if it can go infinite. And this is why, and now you're seeing it, stay with me again, we never want our Peacebreaker cannons to expire, because the more that they are up, the possible more action skill damage we can do with Beam Team Capstone located at the bottom of the middle tree. You said that verbatim. Comment down below, and I'll like your comment. So this is very exciting, right? You get a shock beam and a corrosive beam. Over here, we're dealing bonus shock damage, right? So we're doing a lot of elemental, which applies a status effect, right? We're doing a lot of elemental damage. So we get down here, which is, you gonna walk across again? You're really gonna make me do this bit 3 times in the video? Or are you gonna, okay, you're sniffing the remotes. Enemies damaged by Rafa's Peacebreaker cannons have increased status effect chance 35%. Whenever Rafa applies a status effect, gain increased damage. Whenever Rafa, not specifically me or my Peacebreaker cannons, however, no, you can't lay there. You can't lay in front of the screen. That's the one spot. That's the one spot you can't lay. Go on the couch. What did I do? F11. I was showing F11 mode to begin with. Now you guys can see that I searched Maxroll GG up here. I'm exposed. Right, so yeah, so when Rafa deals, right, so this is very good. I feel like maybe we won't need this skill if we're already applying a lot of status effect. chances. Like maybe this is just placebo. But as of now, I feel like, okay, if we really want to stack status effect, this doesn't seem to have a cooldown. We can just keep, maybe we just want more chances to do it, and then we do like 1,000,000 in damage. Whenever Rafa inflicts a status effect on an enemy, gain additional attack speed cooldown rate and improved action skill duration. I mean, attack skill cooldown rate and action skill duration rate. This effect stacks. So this right here is possibly how we go infinite. How do you say? Bring up a calculator, right? Yes, I have a calculator key on my keyboard. It is pretty badass. You can just say that. Like, it's, yeah, I know. It's pretty cool. I can open up another one, right? Oh, no. What's that? I can open up another one. I can open up as many calculators as I want. Okay, I can have this whole screen filled with numbers faster than Transformers, Dark Side of the Moon, Sam Wiki's brain. Okay, yeah. So this is very important because this at max rank is 6%. Which is 60 stacks. So this means that the duration of your Peacebreaker cannons is increased by 60%. So that's very nice. So I think if we do like 18, tell me if my math is wrong. 18 times 0.60. No, it's 10.8, which means that's plus 18, which means you have a 28.8. I don't know if they're going to round up to 29, but I don't think they, I mean, they really like don't have to. So we have a 28.8% chance, or not 20 chance, hello. We have a 28.8 second long action skill. And if we look back at this is going to be restoring 15% of our action skill every time we land a critical hit. So if we time this by 0.15, that's a 4-second refresh on our action skill. And this has a 4-second cooldown, which means that once we get to down here, our action skill should theoretically, should theoretically be infinite. If we're losing if we have to wait 4 seconds, but then we can regenerate 4.3 seconds, even if we miss it once or twice, that's still 28 seconds. So even if we go from 28 to 23, we're going back up to 27. Like, so this is still lasting long enough for whatever encounter we're in. Now, I don't need it to be always infinite. However, for whatever encounter, boss fight, basically, we will have our action skill up at all times as long as we're doing critical hits, which is nice, right? Which is very nice. So this is the creme de la creme skill to really just make us go in. And you're like, well, ArroyoYo, you still have 20 skill points. What are you doing with that? This is where it gets nutty. Let's get rid of this calculator. Pop that on. Is we're gonna dabble in this tree. So in indirect projectiles. Oh, and then this is what's also very important before we actually move on. I'm so sorry. Is these shoots beams, and I don't know if beams have increased fire rate. I don't know if a beam can tick more based off of the fire rate. Now that's something I really do not know. So if you know, please comment down below. I know the pre-sequel dealt with beams, and I think Borderlands 3 had one beam weapon that you get from Moxie, and I don't know if firing rate affects it. And I don't know how it's going to affect it in Borderlands 4 if they're going to change it up. So if you do know, please let me know. Is that if beams don't matter with fire rate, we get rid of these 2 points, and then we do put them into this just for a 20% increased damage, right? And now we're doing, even more damage. Now we're, 20%, obviously 40%. When our shields are at maximum capacity, which is nice, right? And then, once again, there are, even though these skills, like this one right here gives us overshield, there could be pieces of loot, there could be guns that give us overshield. The best point would be if there's a gun that gain overshield on critical hit, because obviously we want to get a gun like a Jacobs with a high critical hit chance, that way we can keep our action skill up. So there is a way of getting overshield, whether it's through a rep kit which is the way to heal in this game. Having an overshield is very nice because then we can pump out a lot of damage. Now we're going over here. Indirect projectiles gain increased damage. Indirect projectiles includes all action skill weapons, thrown weapons, and projectiles not fired from your gun. So, which means my Peacebreaker cannons are indirect projectiles. So if we pop 5 points into this, that's 45% increased damage. That's 45%. Now, this is where it tends to get nutty, right? Because as we know, we're doing 20% or 27% increased skill damage here. Now we have an extra 45% increased damage here. And then I believe the way it would work would be those two would be additive and then this would be multiplicative. So now it would be, but maybe this is also multiplicative. Like this is, I don't really know how this would work. Hopefully somebody can explain it. Like maybe these add and then those get an increased 20/40% damage increase because it says increased damage from all sources, right? So indirect projectiles will have it, or maybe it's going to be 20% of this 45 and 20% of this 27, 40% and 40% shield to full, right? You know what I'm saying? So now our Peacebreaker cannons are doing a lot of damage. They're staying up theoretically infinitely, and they're applying status effects. And the entire time we're just holding down our gun and we're just blasting, which is very nice. Now once again, the way this works, right? We have to see how action skill duration goes down with this skill. He's really back all the time. Somebody in the comments, comment down below how many times my cat ran in front of my monitor. Like I said, he has multiple cat beds. He's choosing this. Anytime I'm not recording a video, he ignores me. The moment I record a video, he's like, wait a second, this man is literally neglecting me and doesn't love me anymore. So yeah, we will have to see how long or how fast the duration of this goes. Because if this duration is less than this or some sort, right, then, you know, then we can obviously deal with this bonus corrosive. Dude, what the fuck are you? What is up, my dog? Lay down. I'm almost done. Because then, you know, obviously because, you know, if we have infinite ammo, we're doing a lot of damage with the first shot. And now when we zoom down and we have infinite ammo, that means we can, you know, stack up a lot more damage. So that's always like the backup plan. So the other skill I'm going to be rocking over here is all indirect projectiles deal bonus fire damage. If indirect projectiles already deal fire damage, bonus are double this damage bonus. Now this will be good with this, which does fire damage. However, I can make my Peacebreaker cannons do shock, corrosive, and fire. Whenever you apply a status effect, gain increased skill damage. That's 3 elements, as well as all of them having increased status effect chance. So I think that's obviously very nice to have. Rafa's indirect projectiles gain lifesteal. So lifesteal is a tough one because there are times where 1 point into lifesteal is enough, because you're going to be doing so much damage that you're going to be able to refill your health faster than you faster than the amount of lifesteal needed, right? If I have, you know, 1,000 health and I'm doing 1,000,000 damage, right, I'm refilling it off of 10%. I don't need the 50%. So which is very nice. So I'm just going to keep that at 1 point. Maybe we'll come back later, right, and we'll do 2 points. So this leaves me with 9 points left, which is very nice. Now I'm not really dabbling with this skill over here. I could get some points into overdrive to increase overdrive by 55%, which is not bad because as overdrive, you know that we gain movement speed and we gain damage. But you can dabble in some other trees. And what I'm thinking is Rafa's action skills deals bonus corrosive damage. The longer this skill is active, the greater the bonus. This could be 10% increased corrosive damage every second. And as we know, we're at least going to have 28 seconds minimum of our Peacebreaker cannons being up once we have this skill, which then means we're going to be gaining 10% a second, like 10. Bring back the calculator. right? 10% times, 28 seconds. We're doing an extra 280% increase corrosive damage with our Peacemaker cannons, and that's the minimum. If it's infinite, then it's infinite, right? Which is very nice. Now, a lot of these deal with arc knives, so I don't really need a dabble with these skills. I don't really need these in tier true. The other one that I was thinking of is while his I could go back and increase my Peacebreaker cannons to have increased fire rate, but once again, if this isn't necessary because of the way that beams work, that they don't matter with fire rate, I was thinking of having increased fire rate for myself of plus 10 and plus 50% attack speed while my cannons are up, which theoretically, once again, is infinite. I was thinking of ammo regen, which would be nice. Of course, I'm thinking of I can get the ricochet. I could get the first magazine. I can go back and I can put another point in this. So then now that's 30%. But I believe as of now, I'm just gonna do 4 in this skill because it's 49. I'm just gonna do 4 in this skill, which will give me 8% plus 12%. Wait, yeah, is that the math? Yeah. Plus 12%. Did I say 20? Why the fuck why did I say 50%? Why did I say 50%? This would be 8% plus 12%. This would just be 20%. I don't know why the hell I said 50%. So I can give myself 20% increased fire rate while this is active. So overall, I think this is going to be the infinite Peacebreaker cannon build. We'll have to see how this works, because if this is nice, right, possibly we get rid of we get rid of these points and maybe we pop some points into this, or maybe we get rid of this and we pop some points into this, right? There's so many different options. So thank you everybody for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. Now I do have a bad habit of like doing series like this and then my brain overclocks, because I want to do like one for arc knives and one for Apophis Lance, and and all 3 for Vex. But if the first video like maybe doesn't perform too well, I'm like, okay, that series sucks, let me think of something new. So if you do like it, even if it's just some of you, comment down below saying, hey, thank you, I might run this build. Whoa, I didn't think about that. Or if you know like any, maybe I was incorrect about my math, and be like, hey, no matter how many calculators you pull up on screen, your math is wrong. But yeah, so thank you very much for watching the video. Please subscribe, comment down below, leave a like. This is 42 minutes on just one build, and like I said, you can go splash damage, you can go with the shotgun build. Like there's so many choices. So thank you everybody for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it, and hope to see y'all again in the next video. And hopefully Lo-Fi doesn't copyright or demonetize this video, because I'll be freaking pissed. Thank you everybody. I'll see you next time. See ya.